Hello everybody, welcome in. It's Laura from Tenacious Taurus Twin Flame Tarot, and I was asked by my spiritual team to do a video and let's talk about what keeps holding up this twin flame journey. What's the big holdup when it comes to establishing 3D union in the physical reality? And so I think one of the biggest sources of misunderstandings on the twin flame journey is forgetting that it is a journey of the soul. It is not a journey of the mind. It is a journey of the soul. And so we still have to live our human lives, but it is about our soul self. And so often we can get our priorities out of alignment, and our soul priorities can be completely different than our human priorities. And so I really wanted to talk about this. We've been in some very intense purging energy. We have Mercury about to go retrograde soon, and I was asked to talk about how to handle Mercury retrograde on the journey as well. So keep an eye out for that video coming up. But I really wanted to talk about what's the holdup, right? So many of us get so frustrated. And I think we kind of got to talk about this. So there's a lot of frustrations on the twin flame journey. And our soul is kind of urging us to learn these life lessons and to remove all of these blocks that prevent us from moving forward. And so I know the journey can feel really tough at times. And so I think the biggest question is, why isn't it working, right? Why can I not achieve union? What do I need to do to open up the pathway to union wide? And so we got to recognize that our soul is a priority. And if things aren't working out in the physical, in the 3D, if you've been feeling stuck, stagnant, no matter what it is you're trying to do, I think this is where we need to look. We got to go into the soul. And so our soul is always willing to show us if we're willing to listen. And so when we go into the soul, that's when things can kind of shift drastically, powerfully, for the better, and very quickly. And so I think the soul is asking us to look at how we met our twin in the first place. It's never ever by accident. Let me just say that. It's always divine timing. It's always the soul's doing. We meet this person at exactly the right time when it comes to learning these very painful life lessons and ascending this karma. And so if you want to progress your journey further, we have to stop stressing out on what's not working, and we got to look at it from our current standpoint. And so we got to kind of work with the soul when it comes to all of these experiences. And so I think a big question is, who are you, right? That's what we're here to learn, is who we are at the soul level. We're here to understand and integrate the eternal part of who we are on the journey. And we're here to, embody this higher state of consciousness, which is always going to be beyond the physical body or our human identity, right? And we have lived many human existences as a twin soul. And so this is where we harness our master creative abilities. And when we believe that we are capable of co-creating anything that we want to achieve, that's when anything can become possible. And so it's really important, because our ego has certain plans and desires, and the soul has other plans and desires for us this lifetime. And so it really is a journey of the soul. And it is so very different than your standard 3D romantic relationship, right? And so it's the soul waiting for us to learn these lessons. And the soul is eternal. And so we set these goals. We agreed to learning certain lessons with specific soul contracts, especially during the separation part of the journey. And so really, us in our 3D existence, in our human existence, we're not really in the driver's seat when it comes to these union energies. It's always the soul illuminating the pathway forward. And so when we can override the ego, then the soul can take control of the wheel. It's like Jesus take the wheel, right? Jesus take the wheel. And sometimes we have to just surrender control, because that's always what's for our highest good. And so if you're feeling stuck, guaranteed it's your soul or your higher self that's hitting the brakes, because there's something you need to learn in that stuckness, right? There's something you might have to deal with, a lesson that might have to be addressed. And so there are many reasons why we hit those brakes, or we feel like there's no progress. And this is where we kind of get in check with ourselves. It is about being honest with ourselves, because it is a lot of deep integration shadow work that we kind of have to do. And so until we really work on our issues, we can't really move forward once and for all. And so I'm going to talk about some of the reasons why your soul might be the one purposely blocking your twin flame journey. And so block number one, you're not going within. That is the biggest part of the journey. I talk about it all the time. So, you know, what does it mean to go within? This 3D reality has so much confusion. It's all ego, ego, ego. And so there are many spiritual circles around us, and a lot of these things are illusions. And so there's a lot of twin flame views that are unproven. There's a lot of 3D distortion between what men and women think love should look like, about who we are and what is possible for us. So as long as we keep focusing on the 3D aspect, we're going to hit those limitations. We're going to be constantly disappointed, and we're going to be constantly dragged back down. And so we're always dealing with like these heavy collective energies as well. And so when we play into the collective heaviness, then we set ourselves up for this limited version of who we are in this limited version of the journey. And so it's all about perception is really what it's about. And so in reality, all energy is constantly in motion. Energy is always fluid. It's always flexible. It's infinitely moving. And so on the spiritual journey, to gain mastery, it is about going within. And so when we focus on our own desires, instead of automatically accepting this 3D version of life, because, you know, that's what we've always done, that's when we can really shift in terms of energy, right? Because it is an energetic connection. And so a lot of the journey is created in the spiritual realms, in the unseen realms. And all of that has to be made manifest in the spiritual realms before it can be made manifest in the physical. So in 5D and above, everything is instant, right? And so it is definitely a reflection of what's going on internally, as within, so without. And that is a huge spiritual truth that's been around all the way back to the ancient times. And so as long as we keep looking at this from the 3D perspective, outer world perspective, we're really not making those inner shifts that are necessary to create real change in the outer reality. And so we're always going to be met with the results that we're not looking for. And so the soul is always asking us to claim back our power as a conscious co-creator. And we do that by going within. We cannot shift our outer reality without shifting our beliefs internally first. And so that's a big, big block. Another block. We're not listening to the truth of love. And so I get that. It can be a very dualistic journey. It is the journey of the twins. It really isn't black and white. And so when we're not listening to the truth of love, then we're playing into all of these programmed beliefs, right? All of these stories about love that we see when it comes to all of these negative relationship cycles, or how love is supposed to be like. And so we carry around all of these unconscious patterns, all of these unconscious perceptions. And a big one for me is all men cheat. All men cheat, all men are assholes. And I've kind of fallen back into that belief recently myself. And so, or all twins run away, no relationships last, there's no such thing as true love. And so that's simply not true. There are stories. I'm sure there's stories in somebody's life, and I'm sure many of us have been met by cheaters, abusers, and users, and that's also part of self-mastery, right? And so we accept these stories as truth, and then they'll begin to play out in our reality, right? And they'll create even more blocks, because when it comes to the truth of love, there is no separation on this journey. So how long will separation last? It's really all dependent on the inner work that you're going to do. And so You know, it can last 1 to 2 years. It can last several months. It can last decades. It's all dependent on your inner work. Separation in 3D is caused by all of these energy blocks throughout our chakra pathways. Anytime you're triggered, it's showing you where you have a block that needs to be worked through. So if something isn't happening for you when it comes to union, you and only you have the ability to clear those energy blocks. So the true twin flame connection is about unconditional love. And that's the only thing that's ever truly existed is love. That's the only thing you really need to know about is love. And all of these other physical 3D stories about love that keep playing out are there to show you where you've not harnessed unconditional love. And so as we... Did she jump on ya? You okay, monkey?
No, she struck me.
Oh my. Sorry, guys. So when we go within, it is not only our own higher self, but our twin's higher self that shows us the truth, that there's always been love between us, and there always will be love between us, whether we are in separation or not. And so another big block, another common block I find on the journey is we look for others to fix things for us, or we think somebody's coming to fix us. And so that's a really common negative pattern. You know, we grow up with a certain set of parents, a certain set of program beliefs from our teachers, our parents, our employees, any authority figures, and many of us are taught to listen to these authorities, right? And so most of us are taught that somebody always has more knowledge than we do, or somebody's more powerful than we are. And so when we're talking in spiritual terms or in the spiritual realm, the spiritual domain, we're all infinite souls. We're all ancient experts at this journey, right? This is a journey of wholeness. And so once again, all of the answers that we keep seeking externally are going to be found within. And so that is why I'm such a big advocate when it comes to meditation. And so, yes, I do a lot of one-on-one sessions with a lot of people. I do a lot of psychic readings. I do a lot of readings for people, and what I've noticed too lately is a lot of the scammers all over YouTube, all over Facebook, and so there is no spell or candle magic or anything like that that can create union. So don't waste your money, guys. Readings are great to kind of show you where you're at, where the stuckness is coming from, but you always have to be dependent on your own higher self to show you what it is you need to do to open up this connection again. And so we are experts at this internally. And so you are always your best guide when it comes to what it is you need to do to clear these blocks. So how do we do that, right? How do we do that? A big part is forgiveness. That's a huge block on the journey, forgiveness. Let's face it, a lot of the divine feminines and masculines hold on to bitterness and resentment. The separation stage is very difficult. So all of these 3D issues that come up, whether it be cheating, running, third-party interference, we harbor this underlying bitterness and resentment, right? And it can go from extreme love to extreme hate. And so forgiveness is usually one of the biggest reasons that we stay stuck. So forgiveness will allow everything to shift in an instant. Forgiveness allows our heart to be lifted higher. Forgiveness is like opening up the doorway for something new. And so if you are not in 3D union, look at where you have not embraced forgiveness, because in essence, you are them, they are you. And so if you were born into a family with all kinds of distorted patterns and programs, they're likely within you and within your twin. And so when we hold on to resentments, it's like drinking a cup of poison and expecting the counterpart to die, right? And so on the journey, we can become even more stuck than regular people in relationships. And so release the resentment, release the bitterness. And so another block is we get stuck and we avoid responsibility, and then we think that we're small and we can't do anything about this. And so the truth is, twin flame journey or not, we are always consciously co-creating our reality. We create everything that manifests in our life. And so when we focus on consciously creating, and we manage our thoughts and our emotions, and we consciously use this energy and shift our beliefs, then we can stop playing it small, right? And so we are more powerful than we realize. And so the more we focus on separation, the more we're going to be shown separation. The more we focus on love, the more we're going to be shown love. And so we can't keep focusing on this need or desire for our twin to rescue us or fix us. Or we don't need to be rescued is another one. And nobody can fix our problems but us. And so I think one of the biggest reasons for staying stuck too is refusing to accept responsibility. Or, hiding what it is that you really want, and blaming the counterpart for all of your shortcomings. I know blaming is a lot, deflecting, projecting, right? And so if we're aligned in all of this negativity, then love can't show up in our life. And so everything is energy. Energy attracts like energy. So we do have to align with the soul if we want that in our reality, right? And forgiveness is a big part of that too. So if you're constantly looking to everyone else's twin flame experience, that's going to create a block too, because we all have our unique journey that we signed up for. There are no two twin flame journeys the same. There are similar aspects on the journey, but there is no two identical twin flame journeys out there. And so when we look to everybody else's experience, that can create blocks, because then we go into debating or dragging our own connection down because somebody's in low vibration. And so this can be a huge block. It's, falling into this entrapment of everybody else's spiritual journey, right? And we're here to set ourselves apart. And so it is definitely human culture to blame others for our problems, right? Or to blame the twin. But really, if you want to journey towards reunion, you do have to stop looking to everybody else's experiences, because we can so easily get entangled into these false stories about twins, or people's false opinions or perceptions or restrictive energies. The false idea that the male twin always runs, or separation lasts X amount of time, because separation lasts as long as it needs to for you to come to a state of wholeness, right? So when we go into all of these misinformed situations, that's when we get dragged back down and we can get triggered. And we all have a choice to rise above, right? We have to take reins and control of our journey, and we have to focus on what it is we want rather than focusing on what it is that we don't want. And once again, go within, align with your truth, align with your inner strength and your power, and know that you have the ability to choose your own spiritual truth. And so another big block is so many people out there make this out to be like this fairy tale journey, and it is not a fairy tale. It's more like a waking nightmare, right? And this is because it's not just a romantic relationship. It's mission work. It's an alchemical spiritual process, because it is an eternal embodiment of our souls. And so when we get caught up in the mainstream ideas of what a 3D relationship is supposed to look like, or, we over-romanticize what this journey is, that's when we create all kinds of blocks. There's all kinds of distorted stories about what love should be like, what relationships are like, what sex should be like, what men should act like, what women should look like, what things are supposed to be. And all of this creates more stuckness. And this is where we're asked to take our perspectives into the higher realities and know that we are experiencing our own unique connection with God's source and above. And within this relationship, it is not just a human relationship. It is a deep spiritual, alchemical soul connection. You have to feel this connection to experience it in its fullest. It is not a journey of the mind, and it is not a journey where you reach a destination, because we are infinite, we are eternal. And so if we're not allowing our soul to guide the path forward, then we're going to be met with blocks at every single turn. And so when we shift into these higher states, that is when we can clear these old patterns and these default blocks, right? And so our soul is always supporting us. Our twin's higher self is always supporting us, but we have to harness our soul's energy language first. We have to anchor into our truth, and we have to shift into this truth. And so if we keep wanting to do things in the 3D regular way, which creates drama and trauma, then we're going to keep hitting the brakes, and we're not going to be able to achieve that union, because we're here to learn at the soul level. We're here to embrace this spiritual energy, to go into our emotions, and to not give a shit what other people think. I think that's a big one, worrying about what other people think. And so as we evolve and learn these spiritual lessons, and we go through all of these life experiences of the twin pushing us away, we have to harness and understand where this negativity is coming from. And if you're still stuck in that 3D illusion and thinking that that's real, then it's going to be really difficult to bring this this connection together physically. And so we are here to be different. We are already one. So really, there is no such thing as separation. There is never, ever any separation. It's just all of these 3D experiences. And so our soul is always there to support us, but we have to be willing to cooperate and to get out of the ego, right? We have to be willing to take responsibility for what we've created in our path, and we have to be able to realign with that truth. So I really wanted to talk about that. I hope this helped you out, guys. I look forward to doing more of these. If you would like to book a reading with me, I do encourage you to check out that description box below, guys. And I do look forward to seeing you all again next time. Thank you.